Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Bratton Riley. I'm the founder of Citibot. We're located in Charleston, South Carolina. We build, maybe I came the farthest. No, there's some Florida people here, but have the great privilege of working with local governments around the country and building customer service chatbots in 75 languages as we work on our mission to help you provide a positive resident experience for your residents 24/7. This is so much fun for me. These two people here are two of the greatest people, certainly that I've ever worked with professionally. And it's so nice to be in the same room with them because, as y'all know, we live in a Zoom world or Teams world, and it's just so nice to be in the same room together. Our why of why we do the work that we do is important, so I'm going to talk about that briefly, and then more importantly, we're going to hear Laura and Rich talk about their experience. But I come from city government. My father was the 40-year mayor of Charleston, South Carolina. And I've been, over the last month or so, I've been reflecting on this image a lot. I've kind of needed it personally because of things that are going on at the national level. This is Inauguration Day 1975. That little precious human in the middle is my old man at 31 years old when he was elected mayor. He was a civil rights leader before he ran for mayor. Charleston went from at-large elected city council to single-member districts, which is Southern code speak for, went from basically an all-white city council to half black and half white. Both the white and black communities in Charleston were very concerned about this. And what happened was my dad barely won, and then these people came together, and they were grounded in love and respect for each other, and they were grounded in love and respect for all the residents of Charleston. These people made magic happen. 6 black, 6 white, 4 women. My dad only lost 1 city council vote in his 40-year mayoral career, which was to name the baseball stadium after him. He didn't believe that a living politician should have something named after them. But they did it together. So the mission to serve all people is our mission as a company, and it is the mission of these two amazing people here. That's the privilege that we have. Every day we get to wake up and serve the people who serve the people. So what do? We build multi-channel chatbots in 75 languages, text message, web chat. We're just launching WhatsApp with the City and County of Denver. And we've also just launched our voice product. We've grown a little bit around the country. We're in places near you. And this AI world is, as y'all all know, it's like, everyone wants to talk about it. And it's happening, but just think of us as the lowest hanging fruit of an AI deployment in your governments is a chatbot. We only use publicly available information in our knowledge base. We only answer questions that are relevant to what you all do. So this is Sunny. So Laura and I met pretty soon after you came in to the City and County of Denver. Both of these amazing folks have a lot of private sector background.
So in my interview for the job that I have now, the CIO asked me if I knew about chatbots. And I kind of lied and said, oh yeah. So after I got the job, I was like, okay, goal number 1, learn about chatbots. And I think shortly thereafter, I found you and strung you along for 2.5 years before we were ready to really do anything.
And 2.5 years is not necessarily that long in large city timelines. And y'all, we're talking about Denver here. I know a lot of y'all are from Colorado, and maybe you think of Denver as like, well, they're the big city, they got the money and blah, 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 and that's really not relevant to what we do. This is, and we're going to talk specifically about that in the next few minutes. So, Laura, what is Sunny?
Sunny is a encapsulated version of ChatGPT algorithm. And what that means is that we don't have to worry about Sunny going out into the internet and pulling in answers that are inappropriate or that are just plain wrong. So it uses our denvergov.org website plus a library that we're building over time to construct answers to questions that are posed. We have it integrated with our Salesforce CRM, so people can literally look out the window, see the pothole they just hit, snap a picture of it, go into a real quick version of Sunny on their smart device and report that within seconds. It's over to the street maintenance people who are putting it on the list to get it filled.
And so your title is Director of Resident Experience. Mm-hmm. How many of y'all have a position in your government called Director of Resident Experience? It's probably not much, but it's like what local governments are doing is they're sort of crossing the chasm of like, hey, we really got to think about what is the resident experience in engaging with us and debunk some of the traditional thoughts that governments have had about that, which has been very department focused. But the reality is residents have no idea what your departments do. No clue. Enough of them don't. So you have to presume that none of them do. And so the whole purpose is to create a resident experience under your purview is also Denver 311, yep, where the resident can show up and ask their question and have an Amazon-like experience.
That's exactly right. You know, my background, my career has been built in, I started out in finance. I moved to to customer service, like big 750,000 square foot call centers. It was huge. And when
it was over 1,000 people, right?
It was in the middle of the day, I had like 2,600 people. It was like being the mayor of a slightly dysfunctional city, really. And I realized, though, I think a little bit ahead of the reality of it, that quickly customer service was moving away from being you answer the phone quickly, friendly, and provide a good answer, to we need self-service options. You know, I'll often ask crowds when I speak, how many think Amazon has fabulous customer service? And pretty much every hand goes up. And then when I ask a follow-up question, how many people have ever talked to anyone at Amazon? Most of the hands go down. That is the world they've created. So we needed to really look forward to that and realize that, you know, we don't have direct competition, right? So we don't have to be cutting edge. But once we get to see some technology that matures a little bit, and we're in this amazing point in history with customer expectations, where what they want is literally the cheapest product we can develop to deliver what they want. It costs me $4 for a telephone call to help you report that pothole, or about 40 cents if you do it through Sunny. So I'm getting a better experience for my residents. I'm now available 24/7, 365 days a year, and it's like a tenth of the cost. You really can't get a better combination than that.
Thank you. And bringing Rich into the conversation. So what you have here is you have the director of the resident experience and then an IT professional that they collaborate so closely from different points of work, IT and customer service. They're like, you know, they work hand in glove together. Mm-hmm, and yeah. Rich, I don't know if you wanted to just kind of speak about that from, you know, the IT perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, implementing Citibot has been nothing but just a pleasurable experience. One of the best vendors we had the pleasure to work with. I mean, whenever we don't have issues, we have small ones that we fish out of thousands of interactions with our residents. And when we interact with the residents team, we get almost immediate answer and the issue solved, usually within 24 hours. And earlier on, we touched on implementation. So I'm going to give you a timeline. We started implementing the solution right at the end of 2023. We launched it about a year ago. On March 20th is when we told the world that Sunny lives in Denver, and it has done tremendous work for us. The impact is phenomenal. Over the year or so, we've engaged almost 60,000 residents. We had almost 4,000 self-service ticket requests for city services that were directly routed to agencies. And I'll touch upon, I'm sure a lot of people have the same experience, a lot of departments, one side of city and county of Denver is different in the sense that we're a city and county together. And of course, our departments are siloed as well. And we were very quickly able to stand up that system that asks the necessary questions, where a lot of, moving a conversation track, multiple questions and answers provided, and we're able to direct the resident to appropriate agency and give them multiple options how to proceed. And that has been just a game changer for us. It absorbs, like who I said, about 20% of our 211 call volume. And we continue to look for additional avenues to expand the utilization of the system.
And there are very strict laws in Colorado, and I promise you I haven't paid them to say what they're saying. No, but let's talk a little bit. So what we do, we brand the system, and the city chooses how to brand it. So Sunny, do y'all just want to speak a little bit about how you came up with the name and what it now means internally to you all and externally?
We wanted to get some enthusiasm going, because what happens when you start talking about bringing AI into your organization, people get worried about their jobs. So, and this was going to be directly launched in conjunction with my 311 customer service call center, which has about 25 people. We handle upwards of 2,000 interactions a day. It's an intense environment. My agents take about 75 to 80 calls a day, and they were cautiously optimistic, I'll say. I wanted to get them involved, so we decided to have a little contest around naming the bot. I wanted them to feel like they were the parents, like we talked a lot about, we're going to launch this infant bot, and you're going to help us raise it. You're going to help us train it. We're going to take away from you the mundane. You will not have to answer the same questions over and over. The bot's going to handle that. We're going to save you for the transformational conversations, for the more involved conversations. And that has all come to fruition. We had a contest about naming it, and where we came up with the name was, for those of you who are Coloradans, you already know this, Denver has over 360 days of sunshine. Don't tell anyone. So as a riff on our sunny days, we pulled Sunny out and used it, and it's been just really cool. We've stickered, Rich and his team have stickered the entire fleet of dump trucks and garbage trucks and snow plows. We've stickered the police cars with the icon that you see. And with Bratton's help, we came up with a really great way for people to access it. So Sunny's available on every page in our website, denvergov.org. That was kind of a no-brainer. But we really wanted to meet people where they're at. Where are they? They're on their smart device. So, which is probably, if it's not in your hand, get it ready, because I want to have you test drive Sunny on your own. So we came up with a short code. So if you put into your messaging, your green dot, not your Facebook dot, but your green dot if you're an iPad user, hey 311. Just, you can say hello, hi, hey, whatever. Text to hey 311, HEY 311. For those of you with numbers, 439-311, and you'll be connected to the bot. And you can do that from anywhere in the country. It already knows by geofencing whether what you're reporting is in our city or not. So we don't have to worry about getting reports of potholes in Indiana. It'll error out and tell you you're not reporting your location in Denver if you try to do that. But I invite you to try it, to get on, play with it, ask about rec centers, ask about libraries, ask about events, what's going on in Denver if you're here for a few days on your own, see what's going on. And Bratton was instrumental and his team in helping us figure out the best way to meet our audience where it is. The next thing that came up was a request from my HRCP people who are involved with language equity. And they were like, well, text is great, but we have a huge Hispanic community and they communicate on WhatsApp. We went back to Bratton and team. We figured out a way that we could do it. We just launched on WhatsApp about 2 weeks ago, I think, and it's going full guns. It's the same experience, and it really opens up for Denver a new avenue for our Hispanic community, which is pretty significant. Now, I will say this: when we started, we thought in Denver, it was the kind of the belief in the city that if we put out our collateral in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, that we would pretty much cover our audience. The minute we launched Citibot, which has the ability to understand and communicate in 72 different languages, you don't need to have a Dropbox, you don't need to type in the language you want to use, you just start typing into it and it recognizes it and responds in kind. We had, I think, on the first week, we had people communicating with Sunny in over 20 languages. It was mind-blowing. We have a real in with the Tagalong, which I believe is the Philippines.
It is, yeah.
It comes up almost every day. We've seen Icelandic languages, Baltics, South American. It picks up different dialects for the more popular languages. It's been an absolute game changer in our ability to communicate with our community. We don't even say residents, because it's really people who live, work, and play in Denver that we want to communicate with, and that audience is far broader than we knew before Sunny was launched.
I'm originally from Poland. I've never seen a chatbot that has Polish language in it, and Sunny picks it up and has all the special characters. So to me, it's super impressive. Bratton, I'm just waiting for the voice, because there's going to be a lot of leaky sounds coming out.
Yeah.
So let's frame this. So we launched last March, about a year.
Yep.
So let's frame this with what's also been happening in the city and county of Denver. From a data perspective, as we have on the board here, when we launched, you were getting 10% of your inbound communication in a 311 digitally. That was through an app and through the website.
Yep.
And it didn't take us many months to get you to 35%.
No, and 35%. And what we've found is we're doing a lot of marketing. We're doing a lot of awareness marketing. Rich is about to embark on a spring campaign. But where we're really driving our traffic for Sunny is when my 311 hold times are long. And, we all have that. If you have a customer service entity in your organization, you know that, A, you do not build the church for Easter Sunday. There's just going to be times when you're understaffed and you know it, and we make that decision. It's the right business decision to make. On days when my hold times could creep up over 2 minutes, my Sunny traffic explodes, because on the hold message we say, while you're holding, why don't you give Sunny a try? Over 85% of those people don't call back. They get what they need through Sunny. We start seeing an uptick. So since we've launched, we went through our summer months, which are our peak months. That was really our big awareness, and that drove a certain amount of repeat traffic to Sunny, because once they learn to use it, they don't want to wait on hold for us. They don't want to wait on hold and have to repeat their name and their address again. And Sunny just allows them to have a conversation much more, especially if you enable the speech to text. It really is like having a conversation. And what we're looking for now is to broaden that horizon. So Rich is putting together a big marketing campaign using our various social media platforms, doing some more over the top. We did some billboard stuff, but I think this 35% is just scratching the surface. we're really at the head of a cusp right now. And what I mean by that is most of the people who own property, which are like the hardcore, I interact with the government residences, are probably around Rich and my age. They're digital, but they didn't grow up in digital. But that's starting to change. We're starting to have people who are buying property in Denver who have an absolute demand that they be able to transact business digitally whenever they want, wherever they want. So we feel like this 35% is just scratching the surface, and I anticipate that we will be in 50% plus within a couple of years at the most.
The experience that you get with Sunny is unlike, the average chatbot experience, where, most of us, when we have a chatbot, we're like, oh, that thing's not out. I mean, it's a waste of my time. Where Sunny touches a large portion of our web traffic. Our website, we have over 5,000 pages, there's a ton of content, and Sunny does a great job supplementing as a search engine for that work. So you could go to Sunny and ask Sunny any question about city services, and it will provide you the answers instantaneously.
And links, right? Links and other opportunities to find out more information.
And multilingual, Laura mentioned earlier, we thought we just needed to serve, a handful of languages. We have 42 languages used thus far in the platform. That's just incredible.
It's helped y'all discover more about your actual resident community.
With hard data, and that's all the difference in the world. When I go out because we are siloed, I think that's just the way kind of government works. When I go out to other agencies, and I not only, say from my 311 experience, we actually have people who speak a lot of different languages. When I go and I can say we get on average, 5% of who's using 311 digital channels do not speak English, and here's the languages they speak, because I actually have the hard data. That's a conversation changer. Data, when used to tell the story that the data shows, was very influential, very powerful.
So let's go back to last year too, Laura, because in the context of launching Sunny, immigration, crisis, we use the word crisis so much now that everything's a crisis, but, and then the city had a hiring freeze. Can you just talk about, those difficult orders?
You hit on a couple of topics here, so I'm going to take them one at a time. So, yes, we launched, we have a relatively new mayor, right? This is his second year. First year he comes in and he says he's eliminating homelessness. We did not budget for eliminating homelessness and spending $153 million on hotels to do this. Every budget got cut. If you had vacancies, you were not filling them. We're still in that boat. So I went into 2024 in the 311 shop down 40% headcount that I needed in order to be able to answer those calls in 2 minutes or less. Anything over 2 minutes, certainly anything over 5 minutes as an average speed of answer means some people are holding 20 minutes. That's when they're calling city council, that's when they're calling the mayor, that's when it gets ugly. We had coincidentally launched Sunny in March, and I had with a 40% vacancy rate, I had a maximum of 7-minute hold times at the peak of my schedule in the summer. That's workable. I can work with that. It was an absolute, it saved my keister, really. And it made me look like a genius. I was an accidental genius who found a genius to cover me. And it really worked out well. And then you talked about, let me talk more about homelessness. So we started ramping up a lot of activity around homelessness. We started to cater to that underserved community on our website, as far as making available food banks, places they can go for food, places they can go for shelter. These people do not want to call and talk to another human being about their plight. It's a difficult call for them to make. we saw a definite uptick in people who were willing to talk to a chatbot about that. So we started to understand, and I started to do a little research around that whole kind of idea that people used to be like, oh, it's a chatbot, I don't want anything to do with it. And now we've got, people are doing therapy with AI chatbots because they like the anonymity. They like that they're not divulging their secrets to another person. So we took a page out of that when we started to see that we were getting, I think we got 53,000 Venezuelans that were dropped off in Denver, sometimes in the middle of the night with t-shirts and shorts and flip-flops in the middle of winter. So we started to ramp up what we could do for them. Same thing. They were much more likely to ask a chatbot for help than to call in their, to an English-speaking predominantly call center to kind of, work their way through that awkward conversation. They could just reach out to the bot. We would serve up a list of locations they could go to for shelter, locations they could go to for food. Family-oriented shelters were handled differently. How we could help them get their paperwork going. We held in rooms like this, we held sessions where people could come in and fill out the paperwork that we would process for them to become eligible to work in the United States, which was very important because what are they going to do if they can't work? And we found that the digital channel, specifically Sunny, was much more of a safe place for those people to communicate with us. And I think that we would not have been nearly as helpful with both the homeless and the immigrant population, which would have been, if we hadn't been successful, it would be more chaotic, right? Because they're still there, they're not going away. It really allowed us to give them a place where they felt safe in sharing their information, and then we were able to meet those needs for them.
So thank you. So, we talked about this. We've got smaller governments in the city and county of Denver in the room. We're not a big company, obviously.
No.
Can y'all just speak a little bit to, what they might be thinking right now?
Yeah, so I think this is a really important point to make because Denver our technology services people has 300 employees. We have millions of dollars in budget. So when I first started looking at chatbot partners, vendors, I looked at Meta, I looked at Google, I looked at all the big boxes, and without fail, every one of them was in the position to convince me that they could do it all. They could absolutely do it all. And as I started to continue those conversations with them, what they can give me is a blank slate that has the potential to do it all. If I had gone with any of them, it would have cost me probably close to $1 million in development costs to actually build what Citibot offered out of the box. And when I was talking with Bratton early on, I was like, yeah, I want to do a bot. Here's what I've got. No budget, no TS resources. Can you help me? And he's like, yeah, we can help you. So when I went to my technology people and I was like, I want to do this bot, they were like, we got no resources. We got no money, we got no resources. And I was like, it's okay, I don't need your resources. They absolutely did not believe me. Absolutely did not. They thought I was going to bring it in, and then I'd be like, well, now we paid for it, you got to help me. We launched Citibot. Rich is in the marketing technology team. His team runs our website. So we had an obligation to Citibot to clean up our website, because that's going to be the mothership, right, of content. We spent a good amount of time working on cleaning up our website. We archived about 2,000 web pages, cleaned up the content. And it was actually the leaders, the two managers in my 311 customer service department that worked most closely with Bratton's expert technology people to launch the bot. I think we had 2 30-minute conversations with what I would call the hardcore IT people, and that was because we needed to give Citibot access to go into Salesforce, to go into our different systems to build out what we needed to build for integrations. But if you're looking for something that is low resource on your tech side, something you could manage from the operations side of the equation, not the TS side of the equation, and something that's reasonable in cost, you're talking to the man.
Thank you. And we are out of time. I was hoping to leave some time for questions. We'll definitely be here in case you want to come up and ask any questions, and we'll be in the booth room, so to speak, for the rest of the conference. Thank you all so much for choosing to come to the session, and thank you so much to these amazing people that came here today to share a little bit about their experience with you all.